No. Wait, hold on. Do you want me to stop it? Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Mateo. I'm from Argentina, and our cultural icon is the mate. You can find one in every social group, and it's also for personal consumption. So, what do we need to make a good mate? First of all, a mate, then a metallic straw so we can drink from the mate. Then a thermal with water between 30 and 90 degrees Celsius, because boiling water can actually kill a good mate due to the lack of oxygen that the water in the mate has. Then, yerba. That is the main ingredient inside the mate. And then, optionally, sugar. I personally prefer it bitter, but it's a common choice. So how do we prepare a good mate? First of all, we need to add 3/4 of yerba to the mate. approximately. Then we need to turn the mate 90 degrees. So we have enough space to fit the straw inside the mate. And then we slowly turn it back up. So now you have a small mountain. So the mate can last longer. If you want to add sugar or orange or coffee, now is the time. You need to put it next to the straw, which is on the lowest part of the mate. And then we slowly add hot water next to the straw. And now we have our mate. I forgot to mention that the water needs to be 1 or 2 centimeters under the yerba level, the small mountain. And the sugar was added right here. And this is our mate. A few more details are that the metallic straw should never be moved, because the yerba will enter the straw and you will be drinking the yerba. Also, when the water runs out or you hear this noise, it means that you need to add more water to the mate, so you can keep enjoying the mate. And once the water runs out 2 or 3 times, you have the chance to add more sugar to the mate. Remember to always add it next to the straw. And I'm going to add some videos and photos of myself drinking mate in several places with different people to show the Argentinian culture. Thank you for watching.
Hi, my name is Ignacio. I'm from Argentina, which is located around here. And for this culture fair, I will be presenting an Argentinian dish called milanesa. The ingredients needed for this dish are 2 eggs, 1 steak, salt and pepper, oregano, breadcrumbs and oil. The first step is to crack 2 eggs into a food container or Tupperware. Also, place 200 grams of breadcrumbs into a container that we will use later on. Next, you will have to whisk the eggs and add a small amount of salt and oregano, approximately 3 teaspoons of oregano and 2 teaspoons of salt. After whisking for a while, when the materials start to blend together, you can start the breading process. To begin with, you have to grab a steak and dip it into the egg solution, covering it thoroughly. Then, grab the breaded crumb container and place the egg steak into it. Next, using your hand or a fork, distribute the crumbs and make pressure to stick the breadcrumbs into the egg steak, as we can see in the video. Finally, place this breaded steak into a plate and bring them closer to the stove where they will be cooked. Now we will need a pan in which we will pour approximately 2/3 of the pan side of oil, as you can see in the video. Then you should heat it up to max power and wait for 2 to 3 minutes for it to warm up. Later, start placing the breaded steaks into the pan, one or two at a time, and wait till they get golden from the bottom. When it's golden from the bottom, flip them around and wait for the same thing to happen to the other side of the steak. Finally, remove the cooked steak into a plate and use paper towel to dry the oil up. This plate can be also made in the oven following the same procedure. And it can also be complemented with tomato sauce, ham and cheese in order to make a milanesa napolitana. Hope you like this dish and goodbye.
Hello everybody and welcome to Cochabamba, Bolivia. My name is Paulo Morales and I'm right now in one of Cochabamba's most iconic parks, which is called Fidel Anse, and it is very close to the university, which is the great building behind me. For today we will visit one of Cochabamba's most iconic towns, which is Tarata, and also we'll do some quick walk through some of the most iconic parks you could find here in Cochabamba. I really hope you enjoy it. So right now we're entering the town of Tarata, which is located here in Cochabamba, Bolivia. And it is only a 40-minute drive from the city, so it is a very close town if you want to come visit. And it is surrounded by a lot of other mini towns like Arrieto and Santa Rosa and Tiataco. Tarata is very well known because of its homemade cheese and sausages. Trust me, a lot of people usually come on weekends just to have the sausage sandwich, which is the most iconic thing, or well, the most iconic plate of here in Tarata. And now, I'll let you enjoy the view. On the left is a very interesting and funny story. It was constructed in the 1800s because the general at the time didn't want to get his horse's hooves wet. And at the time there was a river here, but as you could see now, the river has completely dried out. So right now we find ourselves in El Convento, which is a building that was just recently remodeled. This building was constructed in 1872 and also serves as a hotel for any visitors that would like to visit the village of Tarata. Tarata is very well known to be a place where you would come by with your family on weekends. It also serves one of the best sausages in the country of Bolivia. And also people come here because of its rich history. Right now, here we are giving a quick walk through El Parque Lincoln. This park is also known as the Pet Park. because it is a place where you often find families and friends playing with their pets here. This park is a beautiful choice to visit on a weekend if you don't want to leave the city as well. So that's a wrap on our quick little tour through Cochabamba, Bolivia, and some of its most iconic places. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you consider Bolivia as a place for any future plans you may have for vacation.
Hello, my name is Romina Sanis. I'm from Bolivia and I'll sing Niña Camba.
Niña, al recordar tus ojos tan fijos en mí, veo el mar, la playa y el sol, horizontes que no conocí. Mi canto reclama tu voz y yo la flor de tu piel. Y esta noche tibia de lejos la siento venir. Palabras de amor que se alejan de mi corazón, con gaviotas que no volverán a posarse en mi arena sin sal. Serenata frente a tu balcón, soy bohemio que dice su adiós. Soy un ave libre que busca la felicidad. Camba, yo sé que te llevo dentro, porque mi canto y mis versos siempre te quieren nombrar. Niña, te dejo todos mis sueños, me voy esta noche lejos, donde te puedo olvidar. Niña, te dejo todos mis sueños, me voy esta noche lejos, donde te puedo olvidar. Palabras de amor que se alejan de mi corazón, con gaviotas que no volverán a posarse en mi arena sin sal. Serenata frente a tu balcón, soy bohemio que dice su adiós. Soy un ave libre que busca la felicidad. Camba, yo sé que te llevo dentro, porque mi canto y mis versos siempre te quieren nombrar. Niña, te dejo todos mis sueños, me voy esta noche lejos, donde te puedo olvidar. Niña, te dejo todos mis sueños, me voy esta noche lejos, donde te puedo olvidar, donde te puedo olvidar, donde te puedo olvidar.
Hello, we're the students from Chile and we're going to show you some of our culture.
We're going to play some folk music called La Cueca, and this is La Rosa y el Clavel.
We're going to show you the recipe for a Chilean plate called pastel de choclo. We're going to need about 5 eggs, ground beef, some olives, an onion, oregano, and pastelera, and some other things.
So for our first step, we're going to be anchoring our pastelera into this pot in medium heat. So to the mix we added a bit of butter and cream. We already have 7 minutes on the fire.
We also cut up a bit of basil that we're going to introduce into the pastelera.
So now we're done with our pastelera, and this is the consistency that it needs to look. The pastelera was around 15 minutes in the heat, and now we're starting with our beef.
The meat part of the pastel de choclo is called the pino. Firstly, we need to cut up some onions into really small pieces, and we start frying them first, and then we add the beef. With our onions now done, we're going to introduce the ground beef. Now that we are preparing the pino, we're going to apply some of these condiments. We have paprika, merquén, we have oregano, we have cumin, and
Garlic.
yes.
So while we're waiting for our pino to be ready, we're going to start the preparation for the hard-boiled egg. So we're going to be making 4.
We have our pino almost done. We have the pastelera done, and we just put the eggs.
So now that we're almost ready, we're going to preheat the oven for at least 15 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius. And now we're starting with the pino. It's the base of the corn cake.
Now we have our eggs done. We cut up some olives. So now we're going to cut our eggs in half and start putting them in. So now for the last step, we're going to put the pastelera. So now the plates are fully covered with pastelera and they're ready to be put inside of the oven.
Now they need to go for between 40 and 60 minutes. You need to see that they are well cooked. An hour has passed and now our pastel de choclo is ready. We put a bit of sugar on top.
So now we have our pastel de choclo ready to eat. If you want to be more Chilean, you have also with it a glass of wine. But I'm not going to do that.
How is it?
Hot.
But it's very tasty. Or you can join it with some sugar or maybe some tomato if you like it.
You're gonna love this Chilean food.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andres from Colombia. Today I am going to make 3 Colombian dishes for the cultural fair. I hope you enjoy. Let's begin by making the dough for arepa de huevo, the first dish. We will be using yellow cornmeal and water. The ratio is 1:1. As well, I added salt and spices for color to the water. You could use annatto, paprika, or even food coloring. Mix until the dough is well combined. You should get a consistency that is not too soft or too hard. Arepa de huevo has meat on it, so we will proceed to prepare it. On the pressure cooker, I put 1 liter of water, bay, thyme, salt, and lastly the meat. In this case, I used flank steak. Set it on high heat and let cook for around 2 to 3 hours. Please save the water from the cooking process. After that time, I checked on the meat by poking it with a knife just to be sure that we can take it out and start shredding it. I did this with the help of 2 forks. The meat should look like this, but before putting it into the arepa de huevo, I will make another Colombian preparation to flavor it. Guiso, which has tomato, garlic, yellow, and green onion. So heat a pan and start by cooking the garlic. Then we're going to add our onions and we're going to cook them until they are transparent. Add the tomato and let reduce for about 8 minutes. When it is completely reduced, add the meat And while doing this, we're going to add the chicken flavor and 1/3 of a cup of water. Keep mixing until all of the meat is incorporated. And like this, you should have the meat, and it is time to get set to prepare the arepa de huevo. So, grab a handful of dough and roll it into a ball. For the shape, you could use a plastic film and a roller pin, or as I did, you could use a press and the same plastic film. We're going to press it down, and the thickness should be around 5 millimeters. Now we can start frying. Get the oil on medium heat, and to check if the heat is okay for the arepa, form a tiny ball and drop it into the oil. It has to start forming little bubbles. At that temperature, you can start making the arepa, so drop it in the oil and let it fry. It should blow up, so open a hole so that we can add the egg and the meat. Basically, you cannot make arepa de huevo without egg, as essentially egg is the main ingredient for arepa de huevo. Egg meaning huevo in Spanish. Now, use a patch of dough to cover the hole that we opened so that the egg doesn't spill all over the oil. After that, we're going to put it back in the oil for another 2 minutes until the egg is fully cooked. You should get a crunchy and beautifully golden brown arepa. Now it's time to enjoy. Now that I finished the arepa de huevo, I'll move on to the Colombian version of empanada. For it, the ingredients are pretty much the same, but for the filling, I will use these yellow potatoes. Peel them and remove the growing roots. After peeled and washed, cut the potatoes in quarters. Now we are going to be cooking the potatoes using the same water from the meat I reserved earlier to get them seasoned. I set the heat on medium and let them boil for around 40 minutes. After that, mash them and mix it with the meat to make the filling. After making the filling, prepare to assemble. So for that, grab a little less than a handful of dough and press it so the dough is thin, and add the filling a little bit over the middle and fold the circle into a semicircle using the film. And to close the empanada, use a cup or deep dish, put pressure and pull apart from the dough excess. Now it's ready to be fried at the same temperature as the arepa de huevo for around 7 to 8 minutes. The last dish is a drink/dessert with many fruits. I specifically use these ones, but you can mess around and make it with the seasoned fruit. I used lulo, a fruit that grows on the Andes Mountains, very traditional here in Colombia. I added pineapple, soursop, which name in Spanish is kind of a tongue twister, guanábana. As well, I added banana and passion fruit, but different from this passion fruit, this one is maracuya here in Colombia. I layered all of the fruits and then put shaved ice on top and mixed it with blackberry syrup. As toppings, I added sweet condensed milk and powdered chocolate. And well, that's it from my video. I hope that you have enjoyed it, and maybe someday you try to make these recipes at home.
Hi guys, I'm Agathe from France, and today I'm gonna teach you how to make a very good dish of classic French cuisine, the quiche Lorraine. In this video, you will see that I am not a professionally trained chef, but I am actually an at-home chef. Thankfully, learning how to prepare a quiche like this will make you feel like a pro. Quiche Lorraine is one of my favorite dishes because it is very simple to prepare and I love the flavor of it. So let's do this. Indeed, making a quiche is really simple business, and for one, you only need a few ingredients. A short crust pastry, 3 eggs, 200 grams of bacon, 250 grams of cream, a glass of milk and pepper. If you like, you can also add some grated cheese. First of all, gather all your ingredients and have them measured, grated and ready to go. The French call this la mise en place. Prepare all items and then preheat the oven to 200 degrees. Then, drop the crust onto a lightly floored surface. Press the crust firmly into the sides of the pan and press over the edges. Take the scraps and press into the edges so there is no waste. So at this moment, as you can see, I had some trouble with my crust, but it's all right, don't worry. Then, when it's done, stitch the bottom all over the surface of the mold with a fork. Do not miss this step because it's very important. After that, bake the crust in the oven for about 10 minutes. While the crust is baking, cook the bacon in a pan until just slightly crisp. In a mixing bowl, combine 3 eggs, heavy cream, a glass of milk and pepper until well blended. When the crust has baked promptly, remove from the oven and add the cropped bacon to the crust. Try to distribute evenly. Then pour the egg cream mixture over the bacon and add some grated cheese if you want to. It's very good. After this step, you can say that you have done the hardest. All you have to do now is to bake for 20 minutes and keep a close watch to your quiche. It's ready! Now enjoy an authentic quiche Lorraine for lunch or dinner.
Hi everyone, I'm Dan Osman, I'm from Germany and I will do a video tour from my hometown Techte. This is my school. It's the highest kind of school you can go to in Germany, and it's called Maria Sibylla Merian Gymnasium. This tree is called Marienlinde, and with its 750 years, it's one of the oldest trees in Germany. A fun fact about Techte is that it has a twin town near Houston. It's in Tomball. And Tomball and Techte do a yearly exchange since the year 2000. Techte is a very religious city, therefore we have a religious museum and two big churches in the center of Techte. This is the Marktplatz. It's a place with many restaurants and cafes, and it's a very nice place to be. This statue is called the Ausrufer, and it's in the middle of the Marktplatz. In his hands he holds a paper in which the history of Techte is written down. The first church was built around the year 800, and Techte was founded in 1238.
This is Marburg's castle of the Landgrave. Over the years, a fortified castle, residence, garrison center, prison, official chief, and now museum of cultural history. And here it is. The castle's garden. This is the historical part of the city. Here are lots of restaurants and stuff like this. And here you can see a typical German bakery. is the good old pretzel. In Germany, nearly everybody is on time, but definitely not the trains. We have a planetary trail here. And here's Mars. At first you peel the potatoes and the kohlrabi. Now you chop both into pieces. Boil 2 pots of water and add a little bit of salt. Cook the potatoes and the kohlrabi for around about 20 minutes. Chop an onion. Add an egg, salt, pepper, paprika, garlic and the onion to the meat and mix everything. Now you form patties as big as your palm. Heat a pan and add some oil. Fry the frikadellen until they are brown from both sides. After 20 minutes, you tilt the potatoes and the kohlrabi. Now you make a Mehlschwitze. Melt butter in a pot and add flour. It's important to stir all the time. Add milk until the consistency is nice. Give the sauce to the kohlrabi and serve everything on a plate. Optional, you can decorate your meal with a bit of petersil.
Let's talk about Guatemala. For starters, Guatemala is a small country part of an isthmus that connects North with South America, also known as Central America. Yep, that small dot right there. Many people may not know anything about Guatemala. It may be due to the fact that it's 6 times smaller than just the state of Texas itself. Or maybe due to the fact that it's a part that not many people talk about, but I'm here to change your mind about that. The most amazing part of Guatemala is their diversity in all kinds of stuff. We have diversity not only in animals, plants, music, landmarks, but we also have variety in people, culture, and even languages, being a country that speaks 24 languages including Spanish, Xinca, Cachiquel, and others. We have variety in almost everything, and I say almost because the only thing that does not change and hasn't changed in all the time of existence is our climate. We're called the country of eternal spring after all. Almost all the footage you're seeing right now is from one of the most important places in Guatemala, Petén. This place is important for various reasons. It's one of the most important forests over all Latin America, and it's also the place where the ancient Maya civilization used to habitate. The Mayans were known because of their complex numerical system, their pyramids, and also their astronomical knowledge, to the point that they created a more complex and useful calendar used for astronomical events. Another thing worth mentioning about the Mayan culture is the fact that they used to have different sports like soccer, you play with your arms and hips, and a really kind of special music, with one of the most complex instruments that exist, the marimba. This instrument is really special because it's made of wood and it's a percussion instrument, making it incredible for different kinds of pieces. During all the length of this video, you've been hearing to Luna de Xelajú, a piece that is well known in my country that sounds just amazing on the marimba. As I said earlier, Guatemala is an extraordinary place to visit and to get to know about history, archaeology, and nature. So, yeah, visit Guatemala.
Have you ever heard of Guatemala? That small Latin American country known for its pleasant climate. Yes, I'm from there. In fact, you are watching a beautiful sunset recorded by my dad from the 16th floor of a building under construction. Sorry, Dad. I'm going to introduce you to Guatemala, but if I'm going to do this, I'll do it right. Just let me turn in, give me a sec, marimba. So, I'm not going to bore you with a lot of historical facts. Instead of that, what do you think if you join me on this colorful tour in Guatemala? Right now, we are in Palacio Nacional, which is our own White House. Also, as you can see here, it's very common to watch pigeons in the churches. Don't ask me why, but there is always a lot of pigeons in every church in Guatemala. So be careful with the poop. Oops, I forgot I was saying nice things from here. Well, moving on. Hey, do you see that girl over there? Yep, she is the proof in this video that Guatemalans have an amazing balance to carry things on their heads. Maybe or maybe not, you wonder why this place is called Antigua Guatemala. Basically, years before I was born, the capital of Guatemala was established here, and that's why all the buildings that you are going to watch from here seems to be older than dinosaurs. Now we are in Zumpango. You can see huge kites, but what if I tell you that those are small in comparison to the real huge kites? The famous Santa Catalina Arch. People said that if you don't take a picture here, you never really visited Antigua Guatemala. Yes, everybody has a picture here. I'm sure you noticed that there are a lot of churches here. The reason is that our culture has many representations of Catholicism. All this time, I have been trying to convince you that Guatemala is the most unique country to visit. And if you still haven't believed me, let me ask some Guatemalans and a few tourists how they will define Guatemala in one word.
Hermosa.
Colorful.
Diverse.
Guatemala es bonita, es una tierra linda.
Contraste.
Cultura.
Chilera.
Nature. Open people.
Hermosa.
Let's see, Guatemala in one word. So I've only been here a few days, but I would say vibrant. From outside, the architecture, it's obviously very old, historic, but it's very colorful. And then you walk into somewhere like here where there's just colors everywhere and you want to touch everything, you want to be a part of everything. The people are vibrant. So I would say like that one word is going to capture all of Guatemala.
I hope that now everyone who is watching believes that Guatemala is one of the best options to travel to. We heard how they define Guatemala, but what about me? I have spent my entire life in this country, and I can say that the people who live here are Guatemala. Not its buildings, not the sunsets or food. People make this place a very, very, very special one.
Hi, my name is Alvaran and I'm from Ireland, and I'm going to show you all how to make a traditional roast dinner. So first off, what you need is your chicken. You can get this in like various sizes. This one is 1.9 kg. So make sure before you start, you preheat your oven. So our oven, it also depends on the size of the chicken again, but my oven is preheated to 180 degrees Celsius and it's a fan oven. So what I'm going to be making is just some chicken and roast potatoes. This would traditionally be had on Sundays, at least in my family and a lot of other families that I know. So I have this a big pan here. I'm just going to remove the thread holding it together, like so. I'll just place it on the baking tray like so. So what we usually do is where's my lemon? We put a lemon just in here, as you can see, just like in there, and then the flavours of that will infuse into the whole chicken hopefully. I have some sprigs of rosemary from our garden. I'm just going to put some of them on top and also one in the middle. And then last but not least, I'm going to put another butter inside, just to really grease up, not grease up, but to ensure that the chicken is really crispy. And then I'll just put a little bit on top, so that the butter kind of acts as your form of oil. So if you don't have butter, this is Kerrygold butter. You can also use oil, usually rapeseed oil. So I'm just going to go ahead and wash my hands. Okay, and then what we're going to do is get a bit of cooking oil. And just lay it over the top. I'll switch the camera so you can see this in a sec. So it's just like this. That's what I've done. Just lay with some foil over the chicken. So the chicken will go in for 20 minutes, and then after 20 minutes, what you want to do is get your potatoes, which I just already peeled, and just put them in right beside the chicken. Just around the edges, just here and here, so you can just lay them like that, and they'll cook at the same time. So just give your chicken 20 minutes before you put your potatoes in. And so with the potatoes, usually we do 2 or 3 per person depending, and yeah, that's how you make a traditional Irish roast dinner. Hope you enjoyed.
Hello, my name is Jack Wiley and I live in a village called Ballyhooly, which is a short distance from the town Fermoy in County Cork. I have lived here for 5 years. I will start off by showing a few pictures of the area. This is the school I go to, St Coleman's, and these are the GAA pictures. I have done an interview with the local resident, Olin, who has lived in Fermoy for his whole life, and he will tell you a bit more about the town. After that, I will explain how to make a traditional Irish dish, bacon and cabbage.
So could you please tell me a bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Olin Sheehan. I'm 27 years of age, born and bred in Fermoy. I actually live maybe a mile up the river, so I suppose the river in Fermoy has always kind of been, you know, central to my life. I suppose I went to a local primary school, went to the same secondary school as you, did physics, missed out on the spot to go to NASA actually, funny enough, so, but went on then to University College Cork and did structural engineering. So I suppose for the past 5 and a bit years I've been working as a structural engineer with a local company, so yeah, love it.
Could you please tell me a bit about the town, Fermoy?
Yeah, so Fermoy is located in North Cork. I suppose Cork is the biggest county in Ireland. Population of Fermoy, it's kind of a medium-sized town for Ireland, just 6,500 people, and a really good mix of I suppose cultures, and it's kind of famous really for the river, salmon fishing. It's one of the best salmon fisheries in Ireland. A lot of famous people actually have been known to fish along here. So Tiger Woods was spotted once upon a time, maybe a kilometre downriver from here. Michael Jackson was going to buy a house upriver from here, and it's really famous for its fishing. The main industry is kind of, a lot of people who commute to Cork, it's the nearest city, but in the town itself there's a number of kind of pharmaceutical industries. SCI out the road has a lot of employees. They actually make microchips for computers, and that's kind of the main business in the town. There was a massive mart here, and that's since relocated, but it would be kind of a large agricultural community.
I have chosen to make a traditional Irish dish, bacon, cabbage and vegetables with a mustard sauce. The ingredients needed for 4 people are 8 medium-sized carrots, 750 grams of bacon, 1 head of green cabbage, 1.5 kilograms of Irish rooster potatoes, half a kilogram of baby white potatoes, and a small bit of honey. The mustard sauce requires 50 grams of butter, 25 grams of flour, 1 tablespoon of mustard, 150 milliliters of cream, 100 milliliters of milk. For the bacon, you can use either smoked or unsmoked bacon. For this recipe, I used smoked bacon. As you start, preheat the fan oven to 180 degrees Celsius. Then season the bacon with pepper and salt, and loosely wrap in tinfoil. Once the oven is heated, place in the middle shelf and cook for 1 hour and 30 minutes in total. After the first hour, open the tinfoil to allow the bacon rind to crisp for the remaining 30 minutes. While the bacon is cooking, you can prepare the vegetables. First, chop the head of cabbage into medium to small pieces and thoroughly wash. This will be boiled separately on its own. Then peel the carrots and wash them. Cut them into chunky batons and put in a small roasting dish and cover in a little bit of honey. Then peel and wash the rooster potatoes. These will be boiled in preparation for mashing. The baby potatoes should be washed and cut in half, then seasoned with mixed herbs and pepper. After the bacon has been cooking for 1 hour, it's now time to take the tinfoil off and put the baby potatoes and carrots in the oven. Then the rooster potatoes and cabbage can be put on the hob for boiling. You should leave 10 minutes at the end to prepare the mustard sauce. For the mustard sauce, first add the butter into a saucepan and then add the flour, stirring all the time. Once this is melted together, add the mustard slowly and then add the cream and milk to the saucepan while whisking with a small whisk. Once the sauce is fully heated, put to one side and now it's ready for serving. Then drain the cabbage and set to one side, and then also drain the potatoes and mash with a bit of butter and cream. Now take the bacon, carrots and roast potatoes out of the oven and serve. Thanks for watching my presentation. Hope you enjoyed.
The Isle of Man, the jewel of the Irish Sea. A perfect blend of beautiful countryside and rich heritage, packed onto such a small island, creating, in my opinion at least, one of the best possible places to live. The island's history and culture is so heavily influenced by the Vikings, and it shows. From rundown coastal forts and one of the best preserved castles in the world, to the structure of Tynwald, the Manx government, their legacy is forever woven in our folklore. And Tynwald is pretty special in itself too, what with it not only being the world's oldest continuous parliament, but, driven by the independent spirit of our islanders, in 1881 it was the first national parliament in the world to give women the right to vote in a general election, paving the way for the democracies that most of us are lucky enough to live in today. The massive farming and fishing industries that the island is built on have not only shaped its culture, but the island itself. The beautiful beaches, seaside towns, and rolling hills produce the magnificent countryside of this island, and have also led to our national dishes, smoked kippers, and of course, the legendary chips, cheese and gravy. But for 1 week each year, the island truly comes alive. The TT. Each year, hundreds of racers hurtle around the island on their mechanical beasts, competing in the TT races with the aim of taking home one of the most coveted trophies in motorcycle racing. Described by one rider as 38 miles of terror, a test of nerves and speed like no other, the Snaefell mountain course is one of the fastest of its kind, and attracts tens of thousands of fans from across the globe, causing the small island's population to almost double at times. but it is also one of the most dangerous sports out there. Taking place on closed public roads, there have been 260 fatalities in the TT and Manx Grand Prix races since their founding in 1907. However, it's this risk, this thrill, that has earned it its status as one of the world's top motorsport races and encourages more and more riders to attempt to tackle this beast of man. The Isle of Man's mechanical expertise doesn't end with motorbikes though. In fact, it is actually the headquarters for 12 space firms, and in 2010 was even named the 5th most likely nation to put the next man on the moon, behind the US, Russia, China and India. And that's why I'm here, representing the technical minds of the Manx, and I look forward to working with all of you and helping to build the future of tomorrow. Gwera mieri ishtacht. Slyn.
Welcome to the Isle of Man, a small gem in the middle of the Irish Sea. We're the only nation to be entirely a UNESCO biosphere and boast a wide variety of wildlife, from dolphins to puffins to basking sharks, though we are particularly well known for our endangered Lochtan sheep, the Manx cat, which has no tail, and wild wallabies which escaped from our wildlife park. We are an island steeped in Celtic heritage and are home to fairies and dragons. Though in some ways we are stuck in the past, particularly shown by the fact that the only trains we have are steam trains, we have been in the forefront of advances in history, as we are one of the first countries in the world to allow women to vote in 1881. Our parliament, called Tynwald, was established in the 13th century, making it the oldest parliamentary body in the world, and is celebrated every July on Tynwald Day, which was visited this year by Princess Anne as a representative of the Queen. The traditional Manx culture is preserved by Cregnish, a small village in the very southeast of the island that is a living museum for Manx life in the 19th century. The cottages all have thatched roofs, and in some are displays exhibiting Victorian fishing and farming equipment. The Harry Kelly cottage shows a typical Manx village's home, and has demonstrations of weaving and knitting. There are also demonstrations by a blacksmith in the workshop of how horseshoes and other metal equipment were traditionally made. In one of the cottages is an exhibition about the Manx language, which hasn't had any native speakers since 1974, but is taught in primary schools across the island as an attempt to bring it back. This picturesque village has been the settings of films such as Waking Ned, Keeping Mum, and the 1999 adaptation of Treasure Island. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the Isle of Man.
Mackled Head, a poem by Kathleen Tharaga. Soft as the mantle, green on the headland, mellowed and yellowed by time, wind and sea. Shadows pursued by the sun over the valley. Dark hither and thither on wings light and free. Sweet is the sound of the waves gently playing below the stone cliffs on a midsummer day. Harsh is the echo of seas wildly breaking. To the storm fury, blue skies are grey. Brown lie the rocks neath the hilltops of bracken. The slopes of the mountain are purple with ling. golden hued gorse and deep blue waving harebells. To nature's their canvas a soft beauty bring. Centuries have passed like a dream in the night time. Amid crying of gulls and the song of the sea. And blessed in their passing that tranquil green headland. Enfolded in peace there, for all time to be.
Before moving on to preparation, the ingredients we will need are rigatoni or spaghetti pasta, eggs, bacon or pig cheek, parmesan, pecorino, salt and pepper. Cut the pig cheek in little cubes and put it in a pan. While the bacon is cooking, fill a pot with water to cook the pasta and put it on the stove. Put a little handful of salt in the water, but not too much, because it is the pig cheek that will give sapidity to the dish. When the bacon appears like this, crispy, remove the burnt cubes and separate the cubes from the fat. Then filter the fat with a strainer. Now take the eggs and whisk them into the pig cheek fat. Now separate the yolks from the white and add them with the rest. Add parmesan cook everything until it has this consistency. Add pepper to taste. When the water is boiling, put pasta in it and wait until it is al dente, so not completely cooked. Before draining the pasta, keep a glass of cooking water and put it with the sauce. Add also the big chick cubes. Now drain the pasta and put it in a bowl while pouring the sauce. Stir until it is well blended. Carbonara pasta is now ready. Serve it, add pepper to taste, and enjoy it with your friends, as I did.
One fine day we'll fly away. Don't you know that Rome wasn't built in a day?
You and me were meant to be, walking free in harmony. One fine day we'll fly away. Don't you know that Rome wasn't built in a day? Hey, hey, hey.
Hi, I'm Enrica from Italy, and now I'm going to take you on a tour of some of my favorite places in my city, Rome. Here we are now on Aventine Hill, in Piazza dei Cavalieri. This door is the entrance of the villa of the Priory of the Knights of Malta. Outside, it isn't Italian territory anymore. This door hides a peculiar secret. In fact, by looking at the keyhole, it is possible to see a perfect view of the St. Peter's Basilica. Right now, as you can see, there's quite a few people waiting to look at the kiln. This is Quartiere Cortese. It was built by Gino Cortese in the beginning of the 1900s, and with its incredible architecture, it is actually a mixture of styles. It seems just like walking in a fairy. There are some buildings such as Palazzo del Ragno, so Palace of the Spider, and the Bellini of delle Fate, so fairy houses. We find ourselves facing a quite bizarre statue. This is a statue of an elephant called Pulcino della Minerva. Pulcino is a transformation of the word porcino, which means little pig. It was commissioned by Pope Alexander VII to the artist Gian Lorenzo Bernini in the beginning of the second half of the 1600s. The first design of the statue was a slender elephant. However, a certain Father Paglia was contrary to this design because he thought that the elephant wouldn't have been able to sustain the weight of the obelisk. Therefore, Bernini was forced to modify its design and hid a block of stone underneath the elephant with a saddlecloth. But as a revenge, Bernini made the behind of the elephant face the convent with its tail moved to the side, exposing completely the behind. Here we are at the church Saint Ignatius of Loyola, named after the founder of the Society of Jesus. The church is most famous for its ceiling. Its ceiling was painted by Andrea Pozzo, and it is famous for this illusion. In fact, by looking at the ceiling, it appears as if there is a cupola. However, it's just the ability of the painter. There actually isn't any.
everybody, I'm Ayana and I'm glad to share the culture of Kazakhstan. I would like to show you the brightest features of Kazakhstan and their significance. Let's move on to the national Kazakh dresses. Like you can see, Kazakh national clothing is distinguished by the variety of embroidery, different ornaments and jewelry.
Now in my hands you see saukile. This is a wedding headdress worn by brides at a wedding in Kazakhstan, and similar dresses and capes are worn by women for ethnic holidays.
In my hand you can see yurta. This is the home of the Kazakh nomads, and this is easily unfolded and carried on camels. Usually it is decorated by the yellow and blue ornaments.
Historically, horses are the main symbol of the Kazakh people and their best friend. He is a spiritual personification of strength and humility. Based on the history, horses were domesticated for the first time in Kazakhstan. Therefore, they figure so vividly in our culture. This has had an impact on modernity as well. Equestrian sport is very popular now. Now we will cook together the most airy Kazakh bread, borisaks, and all the time in the background you have heard playing on the national musical two-stringed instrument, dambra. To knead the dough for borisaks, we need to mix all the ingredients and let the dough ferment for 2 hours. It should be very soft and slightly sticky. Then divide the dough into pieces, convenient for you, and spread it in flour on the table with a rolling pin. Cut into small pieces so it will be convenient for the whole family to eat borisaks. Borisaks are fried on the boiling oil in a very large volume. Its golden crust makes borisaks the most attractive dish on the table. After roasting, borisaks become very airy and tender. Few people know that the borisaks in translation have the meaning of brotherhood. It's believed that the more, the better.
In this point, I want to conclude my story and thank everyone.
Hello everyone, my name is Rakim Balan, I am from Kazakhstan. So in today our virtual culture fair, I just decided to make some kind of exceptional format. I would say it's a presentational video. One of the reasons is that there was about 3 students, including myself, who was accepted to a GSS, Global Space School. So in order to differentiate myself, I just decided to make the presentational video. So let's go straight to a general information about the Kazakhstan. As you can see, here is our flag. So Kazakhstan is a transcontinental country between Asia and Europe, which is mainly located in Central Asia. Capital is Nur-Sultan, and the Kazakhstan is also one of the largest countries in the world, which takes the 9th place, but only with a population 8.5 million people. Moreover, it's really rich in mineral resources, generating 60% of GDP only by oil and the gas industry. And one of the fun facts about Kazakhstan is that it has one of the largest and the most popular cosmodromes in the world, which is mostly known as the Baikonur cosmodromes. So it's basically was popular during the Cold War between the USSR and the USA. Let's go straight to my topic, which is a traditional cultural way of life in Kazakhstan. I will try to explain in a more brief and brief way. So people who live in Kazakhstan is called Kazakh. So Kazakh basically means free persons leading some kind of nomadic lifestyle. So I just put some of the pictures that I found from the internet. The one of them is my favorite. It's from the manga Attack of Titans. You might know, anyways. So let's go to next slide. It's yurt. So yurt is a portable round tent covered with skins or felt, and they use it as dwelling places. So as you can see from the picture, it's some kind of round tent, yeah. So it's really convenient and comfortable for the people who live in a nomadic lifestyles, because you can build it and reconstruct it in 5 to 8 hours. As a Kazakh, I had experiences have experience with building one of the yurts in my life. So it was in the 7th or 8th grade. Anyways, it was fun and cool, I will say. So let's go to the next slide. It's about traditional clothes. First, I just want to note that there was a lot of type of the traditional clothes for the Kazakh people, but anyways, in order to keep it short, I just decided to show you only 2 of them, which is the first is a woman clothing. It's a long dress with a camisole, and the second one is for traditional Kazakh male is a shapan. So as you can see from the picture, and the shapan is one of the most important clothes for a Kazakh male because as it reveals the status of the man. Yeah. So you can find some of the clothes from the internet if you're interested. So yeah. Next one is traditional foods. One of our popular foods in one of the popular Kazakh dishes is bishparmak, or it's called yetnan. But anyways, bishparmak means 5 fingers. So bish is a 5 and the fingers is a barmak. So bishparmak. So one of the reasons is that because of the way it's eaten. I mean, bishparmak is a dish of boiled horse or cow meat. So you can see from the top of the picture. Also, we have some kind of kurt. It's some kind of daily products, I would say, and also kımız, bağırsak, and etc. There is a lot of them. You can also search from the internet if you want. So, I just want to say that the most of the pictures and the things that I showed is Kazakhstan, is a tradition and the culture of the Kazakhstan. But don't overthink that it's a kind of that people from the Kazakhstan still live in a yurt or something else. Now Kazakhstan, it has experienced a lot of revolutionary changes. As you can see from the picture, it's really has a boost from that moment, I would say. So thank you for watching, for your time. So goodbye.
Hi, my name is Hazel. I am 19 years old and I live in the city of Jalapa, Veracruz, Mexico. And today I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my city. We don't know the date on which it was founded or who founded it, but it's believed that the Totonaca people lived there before the Spanish arrived. El Parque Los Berros was destined for the use since the time of the Viceroyalty of New Spain. Its name is due to the fact that watercress, an edible plant, grows in mid-downs. In 1925, it was built as seen today by Governor Heriberto Jara Corona. It was the first stadium to be built in Mexico and the second in Latin America. El Paseo de los Lagos began with a small dam that built a yarn and fabric factory. It is made up of 3 lakes surrounded by gardens, walkways, and wooden areas. Legend says that many years ago there was a beautiful young woman who used to walk down the alley until late at night, taking with her a beautiful and valuable diamond. On one of her walks, it was stolen from her, and from that day on the girl disappeared. Sometime later, the neighbors heard someone passing by, but when they looked out, they did not see anyone. Metropolitan Cathedral of Jalapa is a parish dedicated to the Lady of the Immaculate Conception, patron saint of the city. Its construction began in 1641 and in 1951 it was elevated to the Metropolitan Cathedral. Okay, this will be all from me. Nos vemos luego.
Hi everyone, I'm Kira Schutte and I'm from Namibia, a country known for its diversity. Namibia is located in the southern part of Africa. Today I want to show you a part of my country. Namibia is actually a fascinating country. It is the home of
the world's oldest desert, the biggest meteorite on Earth, the highest dune in the world, the largest population of free-roaming cheetahs, the largest concentration of rock art, the world's most extensive meteorite shower, 11 different culture groups.
There are 13 different languages spoken in Namibia. Let me introduce you to some of them.
Goedemorgen.
Guten Morgen.
Mapinduka. Nawa.
I live in the capital city of Namibia. It's called Windhoek. Now let me show you my city.
First we have the Independence Memorial Museum. It tells the story of resistance to the colonial regime and the struggle for racial freedom. Then we have the Christuskirche. It is the oldest Lutheran church in Namibia and the city's most recognizable landmark. The Genocide Memorial, which was built on a previous concentration camp site for Herero and Nama people. The Parliament building, it is also called the Tintenpalast, with an amazing garden. The Craft Center, this is a shopping center for authentic souvenirs. They sell handmade clothes, animal products and wooden animals. You can get everything there. The Supreme Court, which was designed in an African style to avoid the resemblance of European colonial buildings. One thing our city is not proud of, the Katatura township. 60% of Windhoek's population lives here. And of course, street vendors. They are very typical for Namibia. You can get clothes, food and many other products from them. And we have the National Botanic Garden of Namibia. It is the showcase for Namibia's incredible indigenous flora.
I hope you enjoyed my video.
My name is Zhang Liu and I am from Team Namibia. So for the Virtual Culture Fair project, I have decided to cook traditional food from my country. And what's traditional in Namibia is potjiekos. In Dutch language, it means small pot food, which is quite similar to a stew, but there are some differences. However, I will be showing you in this cooking video. And please enjoy. So these are the things that you'll need to cook the potjiekos, and then I'll list everything in the recipe and you can see for yourself. So we're going to prepare the ingredients. We're going to peel the potatoes and then cut them into big chunks, as you can see here. Same goes for the carrots. We're going to peel the skin and then chop them into big chunks. This is good for long cooking. And now we're going to press against the garlic to loosen them up, and then finally dice them and chop them. Same goes for our onions. You also want to finely chop them. And yeah, I did not use canned tomatoes. You can also use canned tomatoes, but we didn't have them, so I used fresh tomatoes, and you also want to chop them into fine small pieces. And now that our cast iron pot is heated, you want to add your lamb meat into it, and you just want to brown it and caramelize the outsides. And after you've browned the meat, it should look like that, and you can remove them from the pot. Now after that, you can add your onions and garlic. You stir them up and let the onions and garlic soak up the lamb fat that we rendered during the browning part. And now you can add your diced up tomatoes and 2 bay leaves. And the bay leaves give like a good aroma. Add spices. I just use salt and pepper to taste. And after stirring, you can add your lamb meat back into the pot. and we are going to add 1 cup of red wine and a small bowl of water. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slow cook the lamb meat so that it slowly renders down the proteins and becomes much more tender when we eat it. And we try to avoid stirring too much because the point of poikikos is to not to stir it that much. And now we're just gonna close the lid and simmer for 1 hour. And after 1 hour, it should look like that. And you're gonna add your potato chunks and carrot chunks. Just wanna use a spatula and put them in a good position and add more water. And now we're gonna proceed to cook the potatoes and the carrots. Add the lid back on for another 30 to 40 minutes. After that, you remove your lid and keep simmering for another 10 minutes to reduce the juices, and in the end it should look like this. You can serve this with any choice of your starches, and it should look like this.
Kia ora, ko kona I tēnei. I live in Taranaki, New Zealand. The Taranaki region is located on the west coast of the North Island. The landscape here is dominated by a dormant volcano, Mount Taranaki, and the surrounding national park. New Zealand, also known by its Māori name, Aotearoa, is a diverse place, especially so when it comes to the people who call New Zealand home. From the Māori, who arrived here centuries ago from the South Pacific, to European settlers arriving in the 1800s, and everyone else from nations all over the world, resulting in an incredible mix of cultures, traditions, and people. No matter where we're from or what language we speak, all New Zealanders hold a strong sense of kaitiakitanga, guardianship, for the country we live in. Taranaki, and New Zealand as a whole, is an incredibly biodiverse place. Many plants that grow here can't be found anywhere else in the world. Some of these include the Bahutakawa tree, known for its vibrant red flowers, and the silver fern, which our national netball team is named after. New Zealand is also known for its unique bird life, like the kiwi, a small nocturnal flightless bird, and the tui, known for its beautiful singing voice and elegant plumage. New Zealanders take a lot of pride in the protection of native species, and government departments like DOC, the Department of Conservation, work hard to keep them protected. It's not only the plants and animals that are diverse, the land itself is incredibly unique. Rocky volcanoes, snowy mountain ranges, bubbling geothermal mud pools, pristine lakes, and icy glaciers. We've got it all. It's no surprise that the New Zealand landscape was chosen as the set for many movies, most famously The Lord of the Rings. New Zealand is a sport-mad nation. From Saturday football practice to cheering on the All Blacks at the Rugby World Cup, we love all kinds of sport. A big part of sporting tradition in New Zealand is the haka, a traditional Māori tribal challenge. The haka is most well known for being performed by the All Blacks before a rugby game, and many boys in school around the country take pride in learning it. New Zealanders, or Kiwis, famously have a can-do attitude, or Kiwi ingenuity. There's a saying here that Kiwis can fix pretty much anything with a piece of number 8 wire and a length of 4x2. Kiwis apply this ingenuity in a variety of different ways, from shearing sheep and repairing fences to designing rockets. Many Kiwis living overseas bring this attitude to various fields. New Zealand even has its own spaceflight company, Rocket Lab, which launched their first rockets from a peninsula off the coast of the North Island. New Zealand is a wonderful place, with rich cultures, beautiful landscapes, and unique wildlife. Come by sometime. I'm Connor from New Zealand. Kia ora.
Hello everybody, my name is Marielle. I'm from New Zealand and today I'm going to teach you how to make Anzac biscuit. When I moved to New Zealand 4 years ago from South Africa, everybody made me these biscuits to welcome me into their country. So I thought it fitting that I share what I found to be the best recipe with you guys. It's also super easy to make, so if you're not particularly good at cooking or baking, like me, this is a good recipe for you. Anzac biscuits really became a big icon when soldiers from New Zealand and Australia went off to fight in World War I. Their family baked these biscuits to send them off to their loved ones, mainly because of their ingredients. They were made from cupboard ingredients which were easy to find and cheap to make. But what made them most ideal is that they don't contain eggs, which means they don't expire quickly, which made it perfect to send in packages off to war. The word Anzac comes from Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, who were the soldiers who received these biscuits. They often called them different names though, like jawbreakers or dog biscuits, as they were quite hard. However, as the world became more modern and war passed, the recipes of these biscuits evolved in a way to become sweeter and softer. But the base ingredients like golden syrup, flour, and cinnamon remains to preserve the history of the biscuits. When rolling the dough to form these biscuits, maybe don't eat half of it like I did before you put them in the oven, as this will give you some more biscuits to show afterwards. Thank you for watching. This is the final product.
Hi, my name is Paulina, and let me tell you a little bit about Northern Irish culture. So I moved from Poland to Northern Ireland when I was age 7, and to this day there are several culture shocks that I'm still experiencing. So let's delve a little into Northern Irish history. Northern Ireland was created in 1921 under the Dominion status, where the 6 uppermost Protestant counties of the Isle of Ireland were taken from Irish rule and began being governed by the English king. This extremely angered many people and became a never-ending dispute between Catholics and Protestants that live in Northern Ireland. So in this video, I am driving, very badly, through my local village. It's called Ireland. As you can see by the extreme presence of Union Jack British flags hung around the streets, it is a predominantly Protestant area where most residents believe they are British. However, my nearest city, Newry, is a Catholic area, which is merely a 20-minute drive through the countryside. But the difference between the cultures in these two areas are drastic. In my village, pretty much everything you do focuses on the ideals of being British, such as the 12 churches we have or all the British chippies. However, in the city, life is a lot more diverse. It wasn't until I got a job in the city, in a local Irish Republican bar, that I realised the hatred of English people by the Irish. Heck, there's even songs about the Irish trying to get them out of their country. The music you just heard were a few Irish songs written after the Troubles. The Troubles were a series of extremist events stretching from the 1960s to 1998, in which the British armies tried to gain control over Ireland, killing thousands of people in the process. Although there are severe differences between Catholic and Protestant communities, there is one thing that unites everybody in the country. If you type into Google, what is the best thing to do in Northern Ireland? The number one spot will always be one of our national heritage sites. Whether you go up the mountains, down to the Giant's Causeway, or even walk along the city canal, every national heritage site is stunning, full of history and years of geographical development, and most importantly, it's valued by every single community. Northern Ireland is an extremely divided country, But in moments where you can see the sunset over the horizon or the snowy tops of the Mourne Mountains, it really does sometimes feel like we're united. And that's what makes Northern Irish culture so diverse, but so unique.
Hello everyone, I'm Bram Knobbe, 17 years old, and I'm from Holland. In this video I will tell you how to make a Dutch arretjescake at home. First, I want to talk about something typically Dutch that I do every day, and that's biking to school. In total, I cycle around 1.5 hours a day to get from and to school. Now that that's out of the way, I will explain to you how you can make an arretjescake at home. The first ingredient is 200 grams of caster sugar. The second ingredient is 50 grams of cocoa powder. The third ingredient is 200 grams of unsalted butter. 2 eggs are the last thing you'll need. The first step is to melt the butter over a low heat. While the butter is melting, put the 2 eggs together with the sugar in a bowl and mix for 3 minutes until fluffy. After that, you have to add the cocoa powder slowly while you're stirring. If all goes well, you'll have something similar to this. The next step is to slowly add the melted butter while stirring. The next step is to grab 200 grams of Mary biscuits and break them apart into pieces of around 1 to 2 centimeters in size. If done correctly, you should have pieces that look like this. Then you want to put the pieces in the mixture that we made before and stir it around. The mixture is ready. Now take a cake tin and put baking paper on the inside. Then you are ready to pour your mixture into the cake tin and flatten it out. Put some cling film on top and put it in the fridge for at least 3 hours. Thanks for watching my Culture Faire video. I'm excited to see what everyone has done.
Hi, I'm Dasha, and today I'm going to walk you through making that traditional Russian meal buckwheat with mushrooms.
So here are the ingredients that you're going to need. Butter, your favorite kind of mushrooms and spices, onions, garlic, washed buckwheat, oil and some carrots. I'm stressing the importance of garlic with this b-roll. I decided to use a wooden stove because it's more fun, so fire it up, and here's how you can control the fire. And this is sunflower oil, which is very popular in Russia. Also sunflower seeds are used as snacks, just like peanuts are in America. And now we're gonna add some butter. It adds a really nice taste and texture. Some spices, paprika, cayenne, pepper and chili flakes. I've also added some peeled tomatoes to the garlic and onions because tomatoes are going to release some water and we're going to use that tomato water to cook our buckwheat. Now give it a nice mix. Add some salt and taste it to figure out if you need any more spices. Now we're gonna add some carrots. Give it a nice mix. And let it simmer for about 4 minutes. Then add some mushrooms and more mushrooms. Mix it, let them cook for some time. Then taste them. They shouldn't be fully cooked yet because they're gonna get ready while cooking with the buckwheat. Now put the buckwheat in. Spread it around nicely. Then pour some water. Make sure that all the buckwheat is covered with water. And then we're gonna let it simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. After that, you're just gonna mix it again, and then you're gonna try it for the spices. And now you should think maybe you should add some more spices, or if it's ready, if it's fully cooked. For me it was, so I just added some butter, and then I was ready to serve. Enjoy your meal.
My name is Anton Titov. I live in Moscow, the center of Russia. I would like to start this video from the Kremlin and the Red Square. Right behind me you can see St. Basil's Cathedral, famous building from the time of Ivan the Terrible, by which any foreigner still recognizes the Russia. The monuments to Minin and Pozharsky, that is behind me to the Kremlin, and Mausoleum are here too. This is how Moscow looks today. I am standing on the bank of the Moskva River. Right in front of me you can see the pedestrian Bagration Bridge. Further you can see the skyscrapers of the Moscow Business Center.
Да. Take Мы в воздухе.
I flew by parachute for the first time in 2014, the company of my father, south of Russia, near Black Sea, near Sochi. The 2014 Winter Olympic Games took place there.
Мы высоко висим, метров 200.
Flight altitude is about 200 meters.
Ай-яй-яй-яй-яй-яй! Так, сейчас мы Антошкины ножки найдем. Вот, Антошкины ножки висят в воздухе.
Hello, I'm on airport. I'm going to jump with parachute. I made a real parachute jump from an airplane N2 in tandem. I jumped from a height of 2,700 meters. 10 seconds of free flight were without a parachute. Speed was 50 meters per second. It is about 100 miles per hour. Opening of a parachute at a height of 2,000 meters. Incredible feelings.
Постоянно.
Так. Я прыгнул с парашютом! Ура!
Ура,
Это
не
мои
то слово.
мама и папа.
Тошка прыгнул с парашютом.
Антошка прыгнул с парашютом с высоты 2700 метров.
Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin is a great Russian poet. Children's fairy tale. Ruslan and Lyudmila. Cartoon 1950. У лукоморья дуб зеленый. Золотая цепь на дубе том. И днем, и ночью кот ученый все ходит по цепи кругом. Идет направо, песню заводит, налево сказку говорит. Там чудеса, там леший бродит, русалка на ветвях сидит.
218. I was 14 years old. Not far from Moscow there is a Kubenka city with museum of tanks.
Такие хорошие танки.
I also got an unforgettable experience after firing an AK-47. That was a shooting range. It's Russian national musical instrument.
Так у нас Антон Сергеевич стреляет из автомата Калашникова. Давай, 2 одиночных. Второй.
Sounds good. I'm also doing sports dancing. This was a sport dance concert in the summer of 2018, where I took part. It's a typical Russian homemade food, shashlik. Now I am making shashlik.
Вот.
Я готовлю шашлык. Shashlik is pieces of meat on squares with onion rings. The meat in the classic shashlik is used from the pig's neck. The shashlik is cooked for about 15-20 minutes on hot coals. Meat can be sprinkled with wine vinegar or lemon juice.
Hi, my name's Neve and I'm from Scotland. Not much is known about Scottish culture before the Roman invasion, but what we do know is that Scotland is a Celtic country with pagan roots, which means that people mostly probably spent their days worshipping the Celtic goddesses and looking after each other. The Roman invasion of Scotland brought many things with it that we still use to this day. Two main things include our modern day law system, which is based off of the old Roman one that we still use today, and the spread of Christianity throughout the United Kingdom, which is still one of our major religions to this day. When you think of Scotland, a few things might come to mind. Celts, Gaelic. These practices are mainly died out in modern day Scotland. The Lowlands speak no Gaelic at all, while the Highlands continue the tradition, and kilts are only worn at special events such as weddings or sports matches. Another thing that might come to mind when you think about Scotland is Robert Burns, or Rabbie Burns, who is Scotland's most famous poet and is known throughout the world for his poems such as Tam O'Shanter and Scots Way. Not only in Scotland is Robert known as a very powerful poet, but also in other countries internationally, such as Canada, the United States, and Russia, and many more. Robert Burns Day is celebrated on the 25th of January every year in Scotland. It's traditionally celebrated by having a Burns supper, which is your dinner, which includes haggis, potatoes, and turnips. Haggis being sheep plucked, onions, oatmeal, spices, salt, wrapped in stomach lining, and cooked. Other traditions include drinking for adults of age, and sitting in circles and reciting his poems and songs. Speaking of Robert Burns, one of his songs that I know is known internationally, especially in the areas of the United States and Canada, is Auld Lang Syne. Auld Lang Syne is traditionally a song used to celebrate Hogmanay in Scotland. Hogmanay, being the 31st of December, was a tradition that came into Scotland long before the spread of Christianity. It was used as a celebration for the winter solstice, which many pagan religions celebrate, being the shortest day of the year. Back in the time, this was the biggest holiday of the year. Scotland also has a lot of traditional music, a lot of traditional instruments too. You may think of the bagpipes, for instance, but also string instruments like the fiddle. These songs can be traditionally played at weddings, funerals, sports matches, and big get-togethers with families. Also in Ceilidh music. Ceilidh dancing is something that happens in many schools around Scotland. Ceilidh dancing is partner or group dancing that is traditional to Scotland. It takes place at some big events like weddings, but also can happen at small events like school dances, as a lot of schools try to keep the tradition alive. Many famous Ceilidh dances include the Gay Gordons and the Canadian Barn Dance. Many children around Scotland practice these dances every year, whether it be at the order of their school or for fun, for doing it with friends and family. Scots language is one that confuses many. It is used in many of Rathbun's poems and can take a while to figure out what some of the words mean. Each of the counties in Scotland has its own slang. For example, some words that are slang in my county, some people on the other side of Scotland won't have an absolute clue what I'm saying. That's what makes Scotland so unique. Obviously, we also have the national language of Scottish Gaelic. This practice died out as we went under the English throne. They saw it as an act of rebellion and refused any Scottish person to speak it. Scotland is more known in the modern age as the home of golf. In fact, some large golfing tournaments take place near my hometown, in a place called Tunbury, where ex-President Donald Trump also has a grand hotel which attracts many visitors each year. Speaking of golf, which was actually invented in Scotland, Scotland has many inventions to its name. To name a few, or many, the TV, Dolly the sheep, who was the first cloned mammal in the world, the telephone, penicillin, MRI scanners, fridge, a toaster, contact lenses, ATM machines, colour photographs, a flushing toilet, steam engines, and tyres, which you commonly see on bikes and cars to this day. Scotland has many inventions under its belt, some of which you probably won't even know. In small towns today, like mine, Scottish culture still shines through. Scottish people are known as the most friendly in the world. People here are always nice to others and always give respect. In small towns, you will also mostly recognise at least one Scottish flag in each town to show patronage, and a war memorial to celebrate those who bravely lost their lives in either the First or Second World War. Many things from Scotland are recognised internationally. For example, Robert Burns, who is celebrated in many countries I listed earlier through the world, and also has a crater on Mercury named after him. To all the inventions that you probably see every day but never recognise they were Scottish. So now we can all celebrate Scottish culture together and recognise the many great things Scotland has brought us.
Scotland is a beautiful, culturally rich country. In this video, I wish to focus on the famous town of St Andrews, the home of golf, the well-known Scottish beverage of whisky, and a little dish of haggis, turnips and potatoes, or as you may have heard it before, haggis, neeps and tappins. To begin, peel some potatoes and a turnip. Bring these both to a boil, as we're going to roast and mash them. However, remember that turnips do cook slower than potatoes. For the main part of our meal, we're making haggis. Haggis is a blend of sheep pork, which is heart, liver and lungs. The meat is minced with onions, oatmeal, suet and spices. This is all encased in stomach lining, only now it's artificial packaging. Haggis can be boiled, roasted or simply put to cook in the oven. After deciding your method, cover the haggis with the desired film or foil and leave to cook. Now, while our food is cooking, we can talk about the culture of Scotland. Let's start with golf, or more specifically, golf in a town in Fife called St Andrews. The town of St Andrews is best known as the home of golf, because it's here you can find one of the world's oldest and most influential golf organisations, which was formed in 1754 by 22 gentlemen. The course pictured above is one of the top 10 courses in St Andrews. This is the Old Course, or sometimes known as Old Lady, or Grand Old Lady, and it's held under trust by St Andrews Links. Some of the competitions hosted here include the Open Championship and the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship. Although the origins of the game of golf are unclear, many believe it was developed from an early game where players tried to hit pebbles over sand dunes with sticks on the east coast of Scotland. However, in modern day, golf is played all across the world. Let's look at the example of American player Tiger Woods. Woods has won 15 professional major golf championships, as well as a staggering 82 PGA Tour events. Another very famous American besides Woods that comes to play golf a lot is former President Donald Trump, who owns his own private course here in St Andrews. If you're ever travelling through Scotland and decide to take a trip to the little town of St Andrews, here are some of the views as well as townhouses you can see. Another main aspect of Scottish culture is the distillation of traditional alcohol, whisky. The word whisky itself is derived from the Gaelic name of Uisce Beatha, which is translated loosely to the water of life. It's believed that whisky making began in Scotland after monks had no access to grapes, so they used grain mash instead, which produced an early form of the spirit that many people drink today. The distillation of modern whisky happens in places like these. This is a distillery in Cameron Bridge. Most of you are probably very familiar with famous brands such as Jack Daniels and the famous Grouse. However, there's a lesser known brand that's named after Cameron Bridge, called Cameron Brig. After learning a little about Scottish culture, let's return to our food. Everything should have been cooked nicely, so you can plate up the haggis and mash the potatoes. As you can see here, I've decided to roast my turnips. What I'm cutting here is a Scottish delicacy. This is tablet, very sweet but very delicious. And here is iron brew. You've probably heard of it. It's not alcoholic but it's still very tasty. If you'd really like to keep it traditional, look up the poem addressed to a haggis, which is written by a very famous poet called Robert Burns. Although I had a really good time getting all the footage for this video, not everything went so smoothly. Everything went wrong at least once. I spilled stuff everywhere. I even broke knives in the process of trying to cut turnips. So, yeah. But anyway, like I said, I really did enjoy making this video for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you're ever in Scotland, make sure to check out St Andrews.
Hello, my name is Chandra Botha and I'm from South Africa. This video will give you a little more insight of South Africa and its diverse culture. This is the South African flag. We are often called the Rainbow Nation because of the diversity in cultures of South Africa. We have 9 provinces and a population of over 58 million people. This is President Cyril Ramaphosa. He is the President of South Africa and also the leader of the African National Congress. South Africa has 11 national languages, including Afrikaans, English, isiXhosa, isiZulu, Sepedi, and Sesotho. These are 2 of South Africa's most well-known landmarks. On the left and top is Table Mountain. Table Mountain is in Cape Town and is part of the 7 wonders of nature in the world. On the right is the Voortrekker Monument, which is situated in Pretoria. This is what we call a braai. It is a certain method of preparing food over a fire. South Africans are extremely proud of this tradition, and it is usually done while socializing with family and friends. This is the South African version of pancakes. We call it pannekoek in Afrikaans. It is a dish that is typically served with cinnamon and sugar. On the right, you can see me preparing the pannekoek, and on the left, you can see the pannekoek that is ready to eat. These are two more food items that are unique to South Africa. The top one is called biscuit. It is a type of bread that is baked twice and then served with coffee. The bottom one is a koeksister. It is a sweet dessert that is best served cold. These are the Springboks. They are the national rugby team of South Africa. Most South Africans eat, sleep and breathe rugby, and it is common to watch rugby while attending a braai. These are the big five, and all of them are found in South Africa. They are the lion, rhino, leopard, buffalo, and the elephant. That concludes my presentation of the South African culture. Totsiens en sterkte met die ruimteskool. Goodbye and good luck with the space school.
Hey everyone, my name is Roosha and I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. I am super excited to meet you all, be that virtually, and cannot wait to spend the next few weeks working with you. When somebody asks me what is my favorite and least favorite part of South Africa, my answer is the same: the people. We truly are a culture pot, with our country consisting of people from a large variety of cultures, religions and races, each bringing a number of recipes, traditions and forms of art. When you grow up like this, you see how different people are, but more than that, you also realize how much of us is actually the same. When we focus on our differences is when we cause destruction in the country. When we focus on our similarities, while still celebrating our differences, is when we flourish as a country. In many ways, South Africa as a country represents to me the world. Yes, we are all different, but as I am sure we will see during these few weeks, we are also quite the same. We have the choice to focus on the things we have in common, the things that make us human, and this is when as a global population we achieve great things such as going to space. Doing research and discovering things in space also give us perspective on our place in the universe, and I believe will also force us to focus on the things that are truly important. After all, no matter where you are, it is a fundamental part of a human desire to just want peace, love, security and a sense of belonging. We belong to each other, we belong to this world, and I think we can be incredibly thankful that we belong to this universe, for it is spectacular. Today I'm going to show you how to make a traditional South African recipe. I will add the recipe at the end of the video so that you can take a screenshot and make it too. It is called malva pudding or Karoo pudding, for it is commonly made in the Karoo, which is a specific part of South Africa with a lot of farms, small towns and open stretches of land. Malva pudding is an Afrikaans word. My first language is Afrikaans. We have 11 official languages in South Africa. There are a lot more that is spoken daily, but these are just the main ones. Afrikaans has its roots in Dutch, mixed with variants of Malay, Portuguese, and Khoikhoi and San languages. Malva pudding is a popular winter pudding with a spongy, almost sticky texture. The pudding often has a dark color and typical ingredients are a combination of vinegar or lemon juice, apricot jam, and baking soda. A hot sauce prepared from cream, milk, butter and sugar is poured over the hot pudding as soon as it comes out of the oven. It is served with cream, custard or even ice cream.
Alright, this is Murray High School. This is where we go to school every day. It's a great place for learning, and it's a really good time. Okay, this here is the Mallory France Soccer Complex. It's the soccer field at our high school. I play soccer for our school, so it's kind of like a second home to me. I've played a lot of fun games here. Alright, next up, this is the Main Street Youth Center. We usually just call it Main Street. It's a place it's always open. It's got a basketball court, it's got a playground, and we just come here some nights to hang out and hoop. Alright, so right now I'm standing in front of one of our city buildings, and it's on the Court Square. The Court Square it's kind of like the oldest part of our town. There's a lot of businesses and restaurants here. It's just kind of a really cool historic place that you can go to do stuff. Alright, this behind me is First Baptist Church in Murray. It's pretty important to me because this is where I go to church, my place of worship. So, yeah. Alright, so right now I'm on Murray State University's campus. It's the university that's here in Murray, and right now I'm kind of standing in the heart of it on the main, what's called the quad. There's lots of buildings around where students go to learn. And Murray State's really cool for our community because it brings a lot of people here, brings a lot of families. My dad, for example, teaches here, and they also offer things like dual credit for Murray High students, so you can earn college credit while still being in high school. And there's also lots of fun activities they do, like sporting events and things like that.
Alright, so right now I'm going to make a traditional American dish for you guys called the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, this food is more of like a snack food, or maybe a take to school for lunch kind of food. It's not exactly a sit down at the table for dinner kind of food, if that makes sense. Alright, so to make the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you only need 3 things. You need 2 slices of bread, any bread's fine. You need peanut butter, and you need jelly. The fruit flavor doesn't matter. So what you're going to do first, you're going to open up your peanut butter. You're going to take a knife, dip your knife in the peanut butter. It doesn't matter how much peanut butter you want, just do it to taste. Then you're going to spread the peanut butter on the piece of bread. Just get a nice even coating here. Alright, that's good. Now, do the same thing with the second piece of bread. This is very important. This is going to make kind of a pocket for the jelly to be in. So your bread's not going to get soggy. All right, that's good for that. Now you're going to take your jelly. You can change knives if you want. I'm just going to get this one cleaned off real quick. Take your jelly. And you only need to spread the jelly on one piece of bread. Just spread that out. And assemble. And you're done. You have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Hi, my name is Manit and I'm from the United States of America. US culture is a little hard to define for a number of reasons. For one, it's a pretty young country, only around 200-something years old, founded in 1776. Second, it's a very ethnically diverse country. A lot of people in the US aren't actually from the US. For example, my parents immigrated from India in the 90s. I was born in the US though. And third, the US is a very large country, so even where communities form in the US, the culture formed in those communities, quote-unquote culture, it's really different depending on what region of the US you're in. Let's start with art, because art is a major aspect of culture. At least in my area, in the Pacific Northwest, the top left of the United States, reading is very highly valued. Books are, for obvious reasons, associated with education and with information, and that's something that people really value. I guess knowledge, you could say. So as you can see in my house, we have a lot of books lying around. In addition to that, you can see some art that my parents have brought over from India, which I think does a really great job representing how people's ethnicities and backgrounds, of course there are a lot of immigrants, especially in my area. All of these sort of mix into how cultures are formed in the US. So because my parents are from India, they brought aspects of Indian culture to our life in the US. Another thing I'll show is, in this room I'm in, you can see that we have a lot of photos of nature on the walls, right? And I think that's something that's definitely valued a lot where I live in the Pacific Northwest. So if you look around and you look for art, I guess the art side of our Pacific Northwest culture is really heavily centered on nature, which really shows people's appreciation of the natural world. However, the photos on that wall were of the American Southwest. I live in the Pacific Northwest. The reason I'm showing you what the Northwest looks like is because this is a parallel to the idea of showing historical architecture or historical buildings as a way of understanding culture. My state is relatively recent. We only joined the US in 1889, and because of that, we don't really have that many historical buildings or architecture. Instead, we have our well-preserved natural world, and you can see a lot of trees and plants and wildlife on good days. So this serves as a parallel to a historical tour of my city, if you will. Now that we've established why understanding the natural world here is important, I think it's important to establish the climate that we usually find ourselves in. The Pacific Northwest is known for its rain and clouds. However, today I can't show you that since it's a summer day and we have some rare blue skies instead. I'm currently at a store called Home Depot, which is a household hardware and appliances store. The reason I'm filming this is because it exemplifies the do-it-yourself mindset that a lot of Americans have, which is very prevalent in American culture. For example, in Home Depot, a lot of people would go and get their own hardware and appliances so that they can renovate or improve their home and fix the problems that they identify instead of waiting for someone else to do it for them. I'm in Home Depot right now and you can see flags around the store. This is because people take holidays such as Independence Day, which is coming up in a couple days, pretty seriously in the US. So, I'm back at home now. We came back from Home Depot, and now that I've shown you a little bit about American culture, I think it's important to touch on some aspects of my Indian heritage, like the culture of my parents that have pervaded my everyday life. So, this is sort of culture that's unique to me and my household in a way. Our main staple is roti sabji. Roti is a round whole wheat flatbread common in the Indian subcontinent, and sabji is any mix of vegetables that you eat with it. My extended family speaks mostly Hindi, a language that I'm certainly not fluent in. This combined with my birthplace and home being on the opposite side of the world from India means that I don't fully identify with the cultures of my extended family and my predecessors. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I was born and raised at the intersection of my Indian heritage, this Western American society, the land I've grown up on, and rapid globalization. I find myself in a gray area between them. I wouldn't say I neatly fit into any one culture, but elements from all of them have shaped my identity in a unique way.
Hi, my name is Alina Thu, and my home country is the United States. Despite residing in this country, my culture is heavily influenced by the countries in which my parents have immigrated from. So today I'll be following a family recipe and cooking a Pakistani dish called dahi bindi masala, and that is representative of the culture from where my mom was born. So let's get started. Okay, so the first step is to cut all of our raw vegetables. So we're gonna start with some white onion and cut them into very small pieces. Okay, and we're also gonna cut potatoes into little slices. And then we're gonna cut the okra, which is like this. You wanna cut the little ends off and then cut it down the middle into thin pieces. So this is going to be thrown, and then we cut little pieces like this. And then you want to obviously cut the limes in half so we can squeeze them later. Okay, so this is all of our cut vegetables from the previous step. So now we're going to be making the masala. So we have about a cup or a little bit more of yogurt, and since we've been in America, the recipe has been changed to use store-bought yogurt instead of actually making the yogurt like my grandma and mom used to do in Pakistan. And so to the yogurt, we're gonna add some dhania zira, we're gonna add some haldi, we're gonna add some salt, and we're gonna add some red chili powder. And then we're gonna mix it, and we're gonna be adding this to the okra. Okay, now we're going to be frying all of our potatoes. So we've got some oil in this pan, and we're going to fry it until both sides are nice and brown. Okay, so these are the fried potatoes that we just finished, and now we're going to be cooking the okra, and I'm going to add it to the exact same pan with some remaining oil. Okay, and then add some lime so it doesn't stick so much. And you're going to cook it for 15-20 minutes based on how soft you want it to be. Okay, this is the okra after it's finished cooking. I added the onions just before it was done so they could start cooking as well. Now we're going to add the potatoes and the masala and then cook it for another bit of time. Okay, now we're going to cook it for another 10-15 minutes and then it'll be done. Okay, so this is the finished product. It can be eaten with either naans or white rice. I hope you enjoyed learning about our food and our culture, and thank you for watching.
Hello everyone, I am McCain Penrod from the American Idols, and today for the Culture Fair, I'm going to be teaching you all about one of the most American things there is, fried food. More specifically, homemade fried chicken. So fried chicken is relatively simple ingredient-wise. All you need are time, patience, and the things listed here. So now that we have everything, we can actually get started. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to turn on my oil so it can start heating up while I'm beating my eggs. So you're generally going to want that relatively high to get started, and then once you're cooking, you want to bring it down to medium-low. Once you do that, you can get started whisking your eggs. Once you've got your eggs cracked, you're going to mix them around, and you're going to put 1 cup of buttermilk to your eggs. You're gonna mix your eggs and milk together. You want to keep going until it's kind of a nice, consistent, pale white. Next step, once you've got your eggs mixed, is you want to go ahead and mix together your flour mixture. So I've got 2 cups of flour in this relatively flat dish, and I'm putting a half a cup of my preferred seasoning in. That is Slap Ya Mama seasoning. I wasn't joking about that, and you're just gonna mix it together with a different fork you use for the eggs. The way you test when your oil is ready is you get a little pinch of your flour and you sprinkle it over the top of your oil. My oil is finally up to temperature, so when I sprinkle some flour on, it gives you that nice little crackle. So that means we can go ahead and get started with our chicken. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna dip it in your egg mixture. Make sure that it's fully submerged. And then you're gonna put it in your flour. And you're gonna sprinkle flour over the top of it so that the entire thing is covered in flour. And then you're gonna put it back in your egg mix. And then you're gonna put it, I dropped it, oops. So you're gonna put it back in your egg mix and then back in your flour mix until you're ready to put it back in the oil. So once you've got your chicken covered in flour, you're gonna go ahead and move it over to your skillet, and then you're gonna use your tongs to put the chicken in the skillet. And it is very hot, so it will pop, so make sure that you use tongs. And you're gonna leave them in there like that for 5 to 7 minutes on that side, and then you're gonna flip them over for 3 to 5 minutes until they're golden brown. I am right at 5 minutes now, and my temperature was a little high, so they're actually ready to go ahead and turn over, and that's probably just a little bit overdone. They're probably gonna be on this side for about 3 minutes. So it's been about 3 minutes now, so I'm gonna go ahead and check them, and that also looks just a little overdone, so we're gonna go ahead and pull them out. I like to put mine on some paper towels so that it kind of absorbs some of that oil. Let them cool until you're ready to eat them, so I'll give you an update when I'm done cooking all of them. These are more of the golden brown we're looking for, so that tells me it's time to flip these over. Final update, guys. My oil is cooling down behind me, which means that I am done cooking chicken. I've got about 18 pieces here, which is enough to feed about 6 people. And that'll make a really great meal, so I hope y'all learned something about making Southern style fried chicken homemade. Thank y'all for watching.